Afternoon, everybody. As you can see, Jeff from Roosevelt Valley Garage. We are working on the 74 Chevy El Camino 350 cubic inch engine. We have to replace a water pump and the fan clutch. The reason we are replacing both of those is we were doing some other maintenance on them, and we found that the bearings in the fan clutch and the water pump were loose. Okay, we have the new fan clutch already installed onto the fan, and we've put that off to the side. So this is kind of our junk pile here. Let me show you what's going on. This is a fan clutch, and there's a bearing that's inside here that is loose. Okay, generally when either this loosens up, or here's a water pump, there's a bearing in here. There's a weep hole right here that usually starts leaking out of air because the bearing is so bad that it takes a room to seal that's in here. Otherwise, there's a catastrophic failure where it's bad enough where either it'll snap the shaft or it'll snap this shaft and it'll send the fan through the radiator, and then you'd be buying a radiator as well. So while they're just a little bit loose, you can take and turn this, and it feels crunchy. Okay, so it definitely needs to be changed. So let's go back over to the vehicle. I want to show you what we'll run into. So generally when you take and do one of these jobs, it's just a couple hours. You ought to be able to do it in about 4 hours or so. This is kind of an easy one to do. However, we ran into this, and the other half of this is in the block right here. Okay, when we tried taking the bolt out, it was coming out hard. The bolts were really in there, and when we started unbolting it, it snapped the bolt off. Okay, it left about 1/8 of an inch out, so there was a little something for us to take and get a hold of. Okay, but not a whole heck of a lot. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how we got this back so it's serviceable. Okay, so we got a decent thread back in there now. We tried heating it up and putting locking pliers on there, and it would not budge. Okay, we tried the induction heater on it. It would not budge. What we did is, since the end of the bolt, okay, was the part that was in the block, this is only representative of the other side, was not flat. We took a grinder and we ground this part flat. So what we did is we center punched it, and then we took a very small drill. We started with an 1/8 inch drill, and we drilled all the way through it. You have to be careful how deep you drill. We gauged a hole below it, and we put a piece of tape on the drill to kind of act as a stop, because if you drill through here, you'll drill into either an oil galley or a water galley, and then you'll have a leak, you know, in your engine, that you'll have a passage between the oil and the water, and you won't be able to find it. So we want to make sure that we only go to the right depth. So we started out with an 1/8 inch, and we went ahead and drilled it all the way through the center. Okay, and then we stepped it out using larger and larger drills until we gauged this hole down here as to what size this was going to be with the threads in it. So we went ahead and we drilled out to that size. We went ahead and we flushed this out, and we blew it out and everything. And then we started with the tap. Okay, and it's 3/8/16 tap. We used a bottoming tap on it, and you just put it in about 2 turns or so, and then you pull it out, you clean it off, and then you blow out the chips. And it took us about 40 minutes, I guess, to recondition this one hole here, to take and get it so it would take a full-length bolt Okay, and then we went ahead and flushed it, and then we blew it out, and it will take a full-length bolt right now. So we went and we got brand new bolts. The problem is these bolts right here are OEM, okay, and they're 2.5 inches long. And if you'll notice here, this one's about 1/4 of an inch shorter, okay. There is still enough grab holding power through the water pump into the engine block with that, because it threads in quite far, okay, so that's not really a problem. So you just use these bolts and just torque them down to the same as you would for the regular bolts. But these have a little bit of oxidation on them and everything. We don't want to take and put them back in since we already snapped one of them. So we replaced all 4 of them. This one's going in the trash can, and as well as this one's going in the trash can as well. Okay, so in getting the water pump off, there is a bolt that goes through the water pump through this area right here to hold the power steering pump. You have to take that out, and to take and line the gasket up for the right side as you're looking at it, that would be the driver's side, which is actually the left side of the car. Okay, there is a bolt underneath here, and there's another bolt back here that you have to take and loosen up a little bit and drop the power steering pump down so you can take and get the gaskets lined up. And as soon as you take and get the water pump torqued down, then go ahead and slide this back on the ear that is on the water pump, and go ahead and shoot a bolt through there. Okay, as you can see, there's a nut right here on the back. Okay, so you won't have to worry about putting the nut on the back of it. Okay, so other than that, we replaced the lower radiator hose on this because it did not have the correct one on it. Actually, we noticed that the gaskets for left and right for the water pump were reversed. But even though they were reversed, there was no leak. So we put sealant on both sides. So what we've done is we have the water pump back in the shop, and we put gasket sealant on one side, and then we pre-mounted the gaskets to the water pump, and then we're letting it dry overnight. And then when we take and go ahead and put them on, they won't be slipping around, and there's a chance of a mismatch and then a leak, and makes the bolts go in a lot easier and everything too. Okay, hope you enjoyed these couple of tips and what we ran into and how we handled them, and I hope your job goes a lot easier than ours did. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for viewing, and we'll see you next time.